So my name is Sergio Anguiano. I was born in Prosser, Washington. That's where I'm originally from. But I've been living in Georgia for about, a little bit over 20 years. How I got here was pretty much my family. They originated from Mexico. And then, they lived in California all the way up to Washington. That's where I was born. And I guess, due to work, they just ended up coming all the way to Georgia. And, been here ever since. Went to school in Macon. Eventually moved to Warner Robins and, started going to school down here.
My name is Kevin Mignano. Everybody knows me as KD, Coach KD. I'm from the Bay Area. I was born in Oakland, California. I was raised in Vallejo, California. I joined the Air Force when I was 17 years old, right after I graduated from high school. I got stationed in a couple places and I ended up getting stationed here in Warner Robins, Georgia at Robins Air Force Base. Ended up getting out in 2011. From there, I just, was DJing full time, ended up working on base. And like I said, throughout this whole time while I was in the military, and even growing up in the Bay, I've always been into martial arts and combat sports.
Boxing is pretty much my whole life, to be completely honest with you. As far as besides my business, all I do is watch boxing. I may watch a little cooking show here and there, something like that, but for the most part, boxing. As far as my workouts go, I box. I lift a little bit of weights here and there, but I just love boxing. I remember when I was 7 years old, my uncles, they would watch boxing. Boxing fights would come on pay-per-view on Saturdays. I remember, they would have little fight parties. I didn't know what was going on, but I just remember, big fight parties where my uncles would be over there watching the fights. I started boxing, I say I was probably about 17. What really got me into it was I had an uncle who used to be a professional. He fought at a lower level, but he was a professional, and I would always see him, shadow boxing and hitting the bag. Like I said, it's been around my whole family. So eventually I was like, man, I want to learn how to box. I told my uncle, I'm like, look, teach me how to box. I'm gonna buy you a pair of mitts. So I went to the Hibbett Sports, bought a pair of mitts, and I was like, look, I'll buy these for you, that you can have them, just teach me how to box.
The way it started was my neighbor actually was my friend Jose, and his cousin is my business partner and co-founder of the gym.
KD was a DJ, so I would always see KD, carrying his DJ equipment in the crib and having a lot of people over at his house. So, he was a real good dude. He would always come over and talk to my cousin. I was a young dude. I was in high school, about 14, 15 years old when I met him. I've been knowing him for years, man, before we started the whole Kingdom Boxing thing. I
used to see him training in the driveway next door to me with some of his cousins, and that's how we met up. He was still in high school at the time, and I asked him to train me, or actually he found out I was boxing also, and we just started talking about boxing, and I found out he trained also, so we started training together.
He reached out to me about training. He was like, hey man, I see you doing your thing. I box a little bit here and there. What you think about, getting a session in, mid work and just a training session. So I'm like, cool. At the time, I didn't know how to charge clients or nothing like that. I was like, dude, just give me $60 and I'll train you. You know what I mean? I didn't have a gym to train nobody, so we pretty much made it happen wherever. We'd go to I lived in an apartment at the time, so there was a gym right in front of the apartment complex. And we would go there in a little multi-purpose room that they had. We'd go in there and run mitts.
He was holding mitts for me. We were working out for months on end. And from there, after a couple months went by, we always talked about how we wish there was a gym in Warner Robins, right? And from there, I literally told him straight up, I was like, we should start one ourselves. At first, he didn't think we could do it. So we ended up starting getting members basically to sign up just to run mitts with and teach, just the basics of boxing. And it started off at my church, at Hope Church. There's an empty room up there on the second floor. A friend of ours, Jared Atkinson, he was training up there, doing some personal training up there. And he let us train with him. So we started training. Pastor Jordan, a couple other people. We had 4 or 5 members. This was back in 2018. From there, it turned from 5 members to 30 members. The place we were training at the church was getting small. So we ended up moving to a place on Carl Vinson, and that's pretty much how it started. And it just kept growing and growing. We wouldn't be nothing without the community, and that was like the motivation behind starting the gym, because there was a need for it in the community. I can't even think of how many lives I feel like we've mentored and helped change for the better because we have this establishment, and we didn't even know it was gonna grow to be what it is today. Like I said, even at first, my partner, Serge, he was like, I don't know if this is gonna work. We don't even have a ring. We don't have anything, but we stepped out on faith, and God's really been blessing our program, and like people have just come in. We started in 2018, and real talk, like every month we just grow bigger and bigger, from 5 members to 30 members to 100 members, just everyone from all over the community, from young kids that are in preschool all the way up to people in the community that are senior citizens. We've had programs established for them, not just in boxing, but just exercise programs or diet plans. Whatever the community needed, we try to make a program for it right here at Kingdom Boxing.
The main thing for us is just to impact people any way that we can, help change lives any way possible. Like I said, from just the physical standpoint, the confidence, the mental health, any way that we can. Without the community, we would be nothing, because outside of them supporting our business, they just, they've always been here to support, period. Any event that we've had, shows, back to school drives, anything that we've ever done for the community, they've always came and pretty much supported us in that aspect. But yeah, the tournament, pretty much the show that we have every year, we started it a few years back once we got this big facility. Me and KD always wanted to do something like this, just because, seeing that a lot of these other gyms are doing it, and we're like, there's not a boxing event in Warner Robins. When you think of boxing, you think of Atlanta, at least around Georgia, you think of Atlanta, you maybe think of Columbus, Savannah, places like that. You don't really think about Warner Robins. Warner Robins is like big with football and stuff like that.
Basically, we're a part of the Sanction for USA Boxing, and that's basically the sanction and program, USA Boxing program, that does all the way up to the Olympics. So with that, we're a grassroots gym, and you have to get a sanction from the Georgia, basically, boxing committee. And every year around October, November timeframe, usually this year we did it in September, we do a annual boxing tournament.
It's a show where these fighters can showcase their skills. They come in here, they train every day, they put in the work. So now they can display their skills in front of their hometown crowd. So that makes it even better. The
theme was Gloves, Not Guns, just basically trying to support the youth and adult boxers and show them that there's, a better way besides violence to actually, to put the gloves up instead of, resort to gun violence. But there was a bunch of amateurs from all over the region, from Florida, Alabama, South Carolina, of course the whole state of Georgia. We had 30 fights, 30 belts, about 60 boxers ranging from the age of 8 years old all the way up. I think one of the oldest fighters, elite fighters, is 18 and over, all the adults, and I think our oldest fighter was in his 40s for this specific tournament. And yeah, it gets pretty intense. The talent is crazy. Georgia has a lot of up-and-coming boxers. We had 3 boxers from our gym specifically, and we had a good handful of boxers right here in the 478. But we're definitely trying to breed boxing in the Warner Robins area because we haven't had it here in a very long time. We donate a proceed of the money that we make to the church, and to also, since it's around Thanksgiving time, for those families that, may not be fortunate enough to, have a Thanksgiving meal, so to say, we donate back into Feed the City and things like that, that work towards helping those families out.
future, man, is just to really impact the troubled youth in the youth period, you know, whether they may be struggling with confidence issues, bullying, whether it be a kid that's, you know, like I say, hyperactive and getting in trouble in school. He can come in here, burn off some of that energy. These kids can build confidence, learn how to defend themselves, get in shape. If it's somebody that's, you know, out of shape, they can gain that confidence that they can carry on. And one thing about boxing is, you know, it's something that you can teach your kids. You get what I'm saying? Like, you know, you pick it up, and I just want, you know, you can teach your kids, and they can teach their kids. It's something you can pass on down. At the end of the day, the main goal is for the gym to obviously grow more, if possible. And, you know, hopefully this opens up more avenues of income for us, you know, where we can, you know, do things in the future and build off the business, and also, you know, impact the youth.